ADR. Promoting dialogue.
It's 6 p.m. in Dakar and Conakry. Good evening and welcome to Newslink here on West Africa Democracy Radio, broadcasting on 94.9 FM and around the world at wadr.org. Here are the top stories. Nigerians call for care and support as government begins repatriation of nationals from South Africa.
Providing them with, small grants, job opportunities,
shelter, food, health care and counseling services.
Abidjan's prosecutor orders arrest of former deputy mayor over unlawful demolition exercise that displaced thousands of people.
What he demolished does not belong to him. Justice must be done.
The Gambia's National Assembly approves ratification of the EU Convention on Ending Violence Against Women and Girls. And in Senegal, the Bar Association denounces establishment of foreign law firms in the country. Please stay tuned for details of these stories and more.
On the news, this is Abdullahi Hassan.
Glad to have you join us. Newslink begins in Nigeria, where the first group of citizens evacuated from South Africa has arrived home amid growing concerns over renewed xenophobic violence. On Thursday, officials from several government ministries and agencies received 261 returnees at the Murtala Mohammed International Airport in Lagos. The evacuees were aboard a chartered Air Peace flight and are part of the list of over 1,000 Nigerians who registered for voluntary repatriation. Their return follows a fresh wave of attacks and hostility directed at African migrants and their businesses in South Africa, reigniting concerns across the continent. From Abuja, Etienne Sasetu reports.
258 Nigerians arrived at the Murtala Mohammed International Airport in Lagos aboard an Air Peace chartered flight from Johannesburg, South Africa. The returnees were received by officials of the federal government, including representatives of the Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs, Foreign Affairs, the Nigeria Diaspora Commission, and other relevant agencies. Speaking at the reception of the returnees, Minister of Humanitarian Affairs Bernard Doro assured them of government support as they begin the process of rebuilding their lives in Nigeria.
We'll make sure that we continue to provide them the psychosocial support, and we also call on state governments to ensure that they support. We just learned there that Imo State government offered support to Imo State's indigene that have just returned, and so I call on other state governments.
Authorities say the evacuees will undergo documentation and profiling before being linked to support services and reintegration programs. Nigerians have since welcomed the exercise, but say priorities have to be rightly set.
Government is already overburdened. I think government should focus on security.
I don't see why government necessarily has to provide any support.
I'm sure these returnees have families. During the whole Nigeria economy thing that is happening, we are all trying to work our way around this thing. Providing them with, small grants, job opportunities,
shelter, food, health care and counseling services.
More arrivals are expected in the coming days as over 1,000 Nigerians have declared their interest and registered to return home. For WADR, Yechene Sasetu in Abuja.
We now turn to Côte d'Ivoire, where a controversial demolition of homes in the Abidjan district of Kumasi has taken a new twist. The operation, reportedly ordered by former Deputy Mayor Aloui Broujak, sparked widespread outrage after more than 65,000 people were rendered homeless. But the public prosecutor in Abidjan has denied authorizing the demolition, contradicting claims made by Broujak. An investigation has now been launched, and authorities say they are actively searching for the former local official. Emoradet has more.
The case dates back a few days following the demolition of hundreds of homes on a 34-hectare plot of land located in Kumasi Complement. The operation, carried out under the supervision of security forces, sparked widespread public outrage. More than 65,000 residents were reportedly left homeless overnight. Regarding the matter, Alois Brujak defended his actions, claiming to be the rightful owner of the land and stating that he held several court rulings authorizing the evictions.
The court authorization I hold covers a total of 34 hectares at Rambalaye. The area that was recently cleared forms part of that land. It spans roughly 10 hectares, and everyone occupying it now has been removed. The people living there were fully aware of the situation. Those criticizing the operation are largely unfamiliar with the facts of the case. The occupants themselves knew that eviction was only a matter of time.
In response to these claims, the chief of Kumasi Cantonment Village spoke out to provide clarification.
I have absolutely no knowledge of any court decision regarding this matter. These people have all the necessary documents, and then their homes are destroyed without anyone saying a word to them. Some still have their belongings buried in the rubble. What he demolished does not belong to him. Justice must be done.
After several days of criticism from political figures, civil society groups and media professionals condemning the silence of the judicial authorities, the Abidjan Public Prosecutor's Office finally responded. In its statement, it said that no authorization for demolition had been granted to Aliu Brujak. The prosecutor also announced that the relevant services had been instructed, in quote, to promptly conduct an investigation and actively search for and arrest Aliu Brujak, who remains untraceable to this day, end of quote. The case continues to raise many questions, and developments are being closely monitored by the affected communities.
A report by WADR's Marcel Ariston-Play in Abidjan and voiced by Umar Edet. In Guinea, authorities say search and rescue operation continues for survivors after an artisanal gold mine collapsed. So far, 11 people have been confirmed killed in the tragic accident. Authorities warn that the death toll could rise as operations continue in the upper region. Aitun Imbila has the details.
The landslide struck an artisanal gold mine on Monday in Kintinyan, located in the Upper Guinea region. According to a preliminary report, at least 11 people were killed, several others injured, and many miners remain missing. 2 days after the disaster, rescue teams are continuing the search operations under difficult conditions due to heavy rains which have hampered efforts. Another major hindrance is a lack of equipment which is slowing down the response. Security and humanitarian sources say 2 dump trucks were buried during the collapse. In one of the vehicles, which was carrying 18 people, only 7 managed to escape. 4 occupants were injured, while 7 others lost their lives. Upper Guinea is frequently affected by such incidents. Drawn by the hope of striking gold, many artisanal miners from across West Africa work in abandoned mining sites, often without adequate protection and under extremely hazardous conditions. Following this latest tragedy, victims' families and residents have condemned the failure to enforce safety regulations at artisanal mining sites. They are calling on the authorities to strengthen inspections and preventive measures to ensure that such disasters do not happen again.
Atewin Imbila reporting.
More stories coming up on West Africa Democracy Radio. Newslink continues.
This is Newslink, now focused on parliamentary matters. First in Ghana, a debate is brewing in Parliament over the government's response to recurring floods. The minority in the National Assembly is demanding that the report of the Anti-Flood Task Force be presented for scrutiny following recent flooding in parts of Accra, the capital. While the opposition is calling for greater accountability and progress updates, the minority insists the task force set up in 2025 to tackle the country's chronic flood problem should be given more time to deliver results. Nadir Tete reports.
The Minority Caucus is calling for the government's anti-flood task force to submit its reports to Parliament, arguing that Ghanaians deserve to know what progress has been made since the body was established a year ago. Minority Leader Alexander Penyo-Marking says despite the publicity surrounding the creation of the task force, little has been seen in terms of results.
The same communities are flooded. The same families are displaced. The same drains are overwhelmed. The formation of the task force was widely publicized. Its results, however, Mr. Speaker, have been conspicuously silent. This is precisely why Honorable Shaib's demand that the task force findings and recommendations be brought before Parliament is not a procedural technicality.
Majority Leader Mahama Yarga, however, maintains that Accra's flooding challenges cannot be resolved within a short period.
I'm not sure that this is a problem that can be solved within the 1 year that I think the task force has been in existence. A lot of studies are required, a lot of fundraising is required, and I believe that they will ultimately achieve some success, but we need to give them time.
The debate was triggered by a statement from the Member of Parliament for Wejagbawe, Jerry Ahmed Shaib, who urged Parliament to summon the Metropolitan, Municipal and District Chief Executives from flood-prone areas to account for measures being implemented to prevent flooding. For WADR, Nadidi Teti, Accra.
Now, in the Gambia, lawmakers have approved the ratification of the African Union Convention on Ending Violence Against Women and Girls. The move seeks to reinforce the country's commitment to tackling gender-based violence, strengthening protections for survivors, and ensuring greater accountability for offenders. Our Banjul correspondent, Sandona Mendy, completes the story.
The Gambia signed the convention in Malabo, Equatorial Guinea, on July 11, 2025, before formally acceding to it through a cabinet decision in January this year. Presenting the motion before lawmakers, the Minister of Gender, Children and Social Welfare, Fatou Kinte, said the convention addresses a broader spectrum of abuses, including physical, sexual, psychological, and economic violence, as well as harmful traditional practices, including female genital mutilation and child and forced marriage. Minister Kinte maintains that the ratification will reinforce existing national laws and deepen the Gambia's commitment to regional and international human rights obligations.
The convention thus aims to establish a comprehensive legally binding framework for the prevention and elimination of an effective response to all forms of violence against women and girls across Africa.
Meanwhile, some lawmakers also weigh in on the matter.
How many of our girls are going naked in schools? Do we have laws that will protect them?
Today, I am a proud legislator who is standing before everybody, ratifying a document before us.
If we debate as members of parliament without evidence-based, we cannot make decisions that will impact the lives and livelihood of our people.
The ratification comes as the government prepares to inaugurate a special court dedicated to handling gender-based violence cases, a move authorities say will help improve access to justice and speed up the prosecution of offenders. For Newslink on West Africa Democracy Radio, Sandra Mendy reporting from Banjul.
You are listening to Newslink here on West Africa Democracy Radio, 94.9 FM Dakar, Senegal, and online at wadr.org. We're also streaming on Facebook and YouTube at WADR. Here is a reminder of our top stories. Nigeria's call for care and support as government begins repatriation of nationals from South Africa. Abidjan's prosecutor orders arrest of former deputy mayor over illegal demolition exercise that displaced thousands of people. The Gambia's National Assembly approves ratification of the AU Convention on Ending Violence Against Women and Girls. Still in the news, the Senegalese Bar Association denounces establishment of foreign law firms in the country. We also have the guest interview and sports news. Please stay with us.
Fresh and breaking news all the time. Hear it first as the news breaks, only on West Africa Democracy Radio. Newslink continues.
Here in Senegal, the Bar Association is raising concerns over the establishment of foreign law firms across the country. In a statement issued on Wednesday, the Bar denounced what it describes as the illegal practice of law and announced plans to take legal action against those involved. The issue has sparked debate among legal professionals and experts across Senegal. Let's join Augustine Collet for the rest of the details.
According to the Senegalese Bar Association, several foreign law firms, particularly those based in Dakar, are operating outside the regulatory Senegalese framework. It also emphasizes that these establishments violate the laws governing the profession, notably regulations of the West African Economic and Monetary Union, UEMOA, concerning the harmonization of professional rules and the free movement of lawyers within the community, as well as the Senegalese law establishing the bar. The statement reiterates that only lawyers registered with a bar association in a UEMOA member state may establish themselves in another member state, whether as their primary or secondary practice, subject to compliance with the prescribed procedures and after prior authorization from the host bar association. According to the bar, any current presence of foreign firms not meeting these criteria constitutes illegal practice of law. Faced with what it deems a threat to professional and ethical standards, the Senegalese Bar Council does not rule out initiating legal proceedings against the perpetrators and accomplices of the repeated acts. The Bar Association promises to guarantee respect for the regulations governing the practice of law and to preserve the integrity of the Senegalese judicial system.
Augustine Cole filed that report. In Liberia, a coalition of civil society groups is preparing nationwide consultations ahead of expected public hearings on two key bills on justice and accountability. The proposed laws include the War and Economic Crimes Court Bill and the Specialized Anti-Corruption Court Bill, which aim to strengthen justice mechanisms and fight corruption. The initiative comes amid renewed public debate on accountability for Civil War era atrocities and efforts to curb corruption.
Politics, analysis on major news, social matters, and all. This is A Guest.
Our guest this evening is public health expert Dr. Isaac Egboje. In an interview with our Nigerian correspondent, Teaching Sasetu, he analyzes the cholera outbreak in northeast Nigeria, which has claimed several lives and infected thousands more. He stresses that beyond emergency response, long-term investment in water, sanitation, and hygiene infrastructure is essential to prevent future outbreaks.
Cholera is a very rapid spreading acute diarrhea disease that should be handled as quickly and as effectively as possible because patients don't only die because of the infection, like the bacteria, but more from dehydration, the loss of water through vomiting and diarrhea.
Why do we keep having these outbreaks year in, year out? And why the persistence in Borno State specifically? Do you think this has anything to do with insecurity in the state, which may be affecting medical services?
Yeah, that's true. When you have cholera, it is because cholera is caused by a bacteria called Vibrio cholerae, and it is usually, it results into cholera when that bacteria is ingested through drinking water or food that is contaminated by human feces. So when you have water that is contaminated, water that is not safe, food that is not properly cooked, and there are people who have been affected and infected, those people could spread the disease to other people. And when you have people also who don't have good personal hygiene, they don't wash their hands as frequently as possible, they don't wash their hands before they eat, they don't wash their hands after going to the toilet. Disposal of human feces is very poor. You know that in Nigeria, in many states, people are defecating in the open. One of the reasons why we have the outbreak at this time of the year is because there's water flowing now because of the rains. And when water flows, it carries the feces, and therefore sources of drinking water are contaminated. And that is the major cause of cholera.
So from your experience, what do you think could be responsible for the rapid spread in such a short time? And what do you think should be the quickest intervention that is not being done at the moment?
Well, I just mentioned the fact that rains have just started. There is a lot of contamination, and many of the people that are affected also don't have enough water, safe water to drink, safe water for bathing, and so on. And they eat contaminated food, not necessarily from the same sources, from the same cause or causes. Open defecation is a major problem that we have, especially in those kinds of environment where people are living in the open. Many people are living in camps, and many people are living in very poor, there's no sanitation, there's no proper disposal of human feces, and there's contamination everywhere. First of all, the water that they drink must be boiled
or they should give them chlorine to purify the water. That's one. Two, they must make sure that they give them enough water and soap to wash their hands, especially when they go to the toilet, and to wash anything that they are going to eat if it is not cooked. Things like fruits and so on should be washed before they are consumed.
Is there a nexus between this disease and poverty?
Yes, the connection is this. Most people in urban areas, for example, have access to safe water, purified water. Poor people, especially in rural areas, don't. And when you are poor, chances are that you also defecate in the open. And when you defecate in the open and there's water flowing, provide them with safe drinking water. That's the quickest way to stop it as a temporary measure. And then, of course, to make sure that even if they are living in camps, let them have toilets. Very important.
The voice of Dr. Isaac Egboje, a public health expert. In the sporting world, the wait is over as the 2026 FIFA World Cup kicks off today with high expectations. In Côte d'Ivoire, the three-time African champions, the Elephants are set for their fourth appearance at the global tournament after featuring in 2006, 2010 and 2014. But despite their strong pedigree, they have never progressed beyond the group stage, raising the questions, could 2026 finally be their breakthrough year? It's good to let you know that Mexico and South Africa will open the game today, the first match by 7 p.m., which is less than 40 minutes from now. But then, Emoradad has these details.
The Elephants are dreaming of their best World Cup campaign yet. So far, they've had 3 appearances and 3 group stage exits. A disappointing record for a team that has won the Africa Cup of Nations 3 times. However, this time there are several reasons for Ivorian fans to believe. Michael Lahode is a sport analyst.
I think we're going to see them get out of the group, and there's a strong chance they could even win this group. A lot has to be corrected in the final third, and it's the same questions that Ivory Coast fans had going into AFCON, going into qualifiers, is without some of the firepower we saw Sébastien Haller from the previous AFCON win. They have a young, talented group, a lot of young wingers, a lot of quality, but lacking that consistent goal scoring. Goal scoring will be the difference between them getting potentially top of the group or maybe just getting third place. So that's what I'm looking at.
This year, the Elephants have a new advantage, the expanded World Cup format. For the first time, 48 teams will take part in the tournament instead of 32. More teams will also mean more opportunities to reach the knockout stage. The draw has also given Côte d'Ivoire reasons to be optimistic. The Elephants are in Group E alongside Germany, the group's main favorite, Ecuador, and Curaçao, which is making its World Cup debut. On paper, Côte d'Ivoire has a real chance of reaching the next round. But again, what are Côte d'Ivoire's main strengths heading into this World Cup? Is Group E a favorable group for the Elephants? Here is Mbizo Nzamani, a sports journalist.
This is a team that can be easily one of the best of the continent just because of the depth of the talent that they have. And I think the tactical balance that they have, maybe even more so than their golden generation, than their iconic golden generation. But they're also a team that can be extremely inconsistent, not put away their chances in the final third, and have lapses in concentration that can be absolutely deadly. And I think that's, in fact, what happened to them in the last AFCON, where I think they'll be disappointed with their overall performance. They have some top quality players and incredible young talent, but also some veterans who are just top class. For me, Kessie is still a top class player, and some players who really stood out in the last AFCON. So they have everything to do well in this upcoming World Cup. The question is, will they? Which Ivory Coast will be the one that shows up?
This Ivorian generation can rely on several young talents capable of making a difference on the biggest stage. One of them is Yan Jomande.
Well, I think that, African football fans, in particular, I'm speaking about Ivorian football fans and proponents now, I think are able to separate RB Leipzig's valuation, European hype, with their own sort of expectation and fandom of the player. I don't think it's something of a make or break tournament for the boy at any stretch of the imagination. I think that, yes, perhaps no player in Europe these days goes for their true value. I mean, all the prices are inflated. I mean, some ridiculous prices are happening in the market. But I think the African football fan believes in the boy's ability, believes in his capacity to make an impact for this team, but won't necessarily discard his potential or discard his ability, turn their backs on him if he doesn't perform at that elite level. I think there's an understanding that despite his hype, that he is still a developing player, that he is still a player who hasn't really been truly tested over a longevity of time in the national team. And I think there will be some patience with him. And I think it's that very sort of welcoming and comfortable climate that will allow him to blossom.
In the meantime, a former Ivorian international has become one of the key figures in the country's football landscape, Emas Faye. After leading the Elephants to Africa Cup of Nations glory, he has earned the trust and respect of both players and supporters.
So we have talents. So what we need today is the accommodation around the team to work in a good situation. And I'm sure that the day that the African Federation will understand that, African will be very dangerous in the World Cup.
Côte d'Ivoire has a favorable group, a talented generation of players, and an ambitious coach. Will that be enough to write a new chapter in the nation's World Cup history? The answers will come in the coming days.
Indeed, the answers will come in the coming days, emerged with a special package as the FIFA 2026 World Cup begins. With that, we've come to the end of this edition of Newslink here on West Africa Democracy Radio, broadcasting on 94.9 FM Dakar, Senegal. Thank you for listening, and special thanks to Maudo Diouf and Mustafa Sek for the technical support. Do interact with us via social media platforms X, Instagram and Facebook at WADR, and stream live at wadr.org. I am Abdullahi Hassan. Good evening.
We thank you for listening to Newslink in Nigeria on Love FM Abuja and Darling FM Owerri. In the Gambia on Hot FM Banjul, Hilltop FM and Veritas Radio in Serekunda. Thank you for listening on Alternative Youth Radio Lofa County, Liberia, Radio Kegaman in Nimba County, and DCN Radio Riverses County. A big thank you to Radio Baft FM in Sierra Leone for listening, and in Ghana we thank Radio Pad in Damango and Royals FM in Wenchi. Thank you all for listening to Newslink.
Let's go. This is your radio.
Broadcasting live from the Senegalese capital of Dakar.
The capital city of Senegal.
24 hours, 7 days a week, all year round. On 94.9 FM, this is West Africa Democracy Radio Dakar. We got you covered. We got you covered on all fronts. News, programs, special shows, and lots of all new music. From Dakar to Benin, from Nigeria to Ghana, Bissau, Niger, Togo, Côte d'Ivoire, Liberia, Sierra Leone, Mali, Mauritania, Ouagadougou, Cape Verde to the Gambia. This is your radio. This is your voice. Your voice. This is West Africa Democracy Radio. And we are on air. We're on air. West Africa Democracy Radio, 94.9 FM Dakar. It's UC.
Citizens is evolving as the WADR's partnership with NET continues. Your NET Democracy and Governance program is going to the Sahel. We will focus on Mali, Burkina Faso, Niger, and other West African countries, including Benin, Togo, Nigeria, and the Gambia. Bolder conversations, real voices,